Testing audio. Okay. Put this all back together. Afternoon, good morning. Nobody here, it's okay. All my glasses are upstairs. Good morning, guys. So, the sound, man, we had the microphone set aside for YouTube the other day, now we've put it all back, and the settings are all everywhere. Sound is too hot, breaking up, let's turn it down. How's it now? I've turned it down to level 3, which is what I think we usually do for these streams. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Give me a hint, is this better? Is it okay? More down? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Good, much better. Thank you, good. It was on my pre-flight check and I just forgot to actually set it. So it sets for 3 for the streams and 7 for the YouTube videos. What else needs? It's in the right plug. The plug-in power is turned off. Okay. What's happening this morning? It's a real mixed bag. I'm in the middle of octopus printing still, but we do have to work on this. We were partway through a repair, which I sort of bogged up a little bit, doesn't matter. We will finish it off, what we can do here, and we'll almost certainly see that the repair will need repairing. Let's have a look. It was 2 parts the other day. I put a small circle in here, which part it'll be almost invisible, I think. Then I put a shim in here, and I bulked it up. I didn't quite get it matched at the end. So once we get this thing cleared off this morning, we'll see there's a space. We'll be able to see a gap at the end. So we'll shim the shim. And then if we get through to it, if we get that stuff out of the way, we will do some test printing and have a look at this image. And then start the color separations. My paper is out, but I forgot my glasses there upstairs on the 3rd floor, the close-up glasses. And I am going to need them in a few minutes here, so give me a second. I've got to run up to the 3rd floor and get my alternate glasses. Did you notice in the Ito-san video, the guy had 3 pairs of glasses on his bench. 3 pairs of glasses. I didn't really figure out what it's for. It's obviously for sort of this distance, and that distance or something, whatever. So, excuse me 1 minute while I will go and get my own glasses so I can continue here. Show and tell stuff all dumped on the floor. Okay. It's like getting in a jet cockpit here. If you get strapped in. Seatbelts. Okay, good morning. The scope, Nate. You saw in the video, of course, Ito-san, 80 whatever years old, was not using a microscope at all. And I've been telling the story wrong over the years. It's funny, if you go back a few weeks and ask me about Ito-san's glasses, I would have vividly remembered it. The guy was carving. He had some glasses, but what would happen is, this is the story I used to tell before I got the video evidence last week. He had glasses, and what he would do? He would carve really crunched up really close, we're looking at it with no glasses. Then he would pick it up, put his glasses on, and inspect it. That's the way I told the story. I was misremembering, You tell a story a little bit wrong once, and that becomes the canonic story in your mind. He had different glasses. So he carved with his nose touching the back of the knife. You can see it in the video there. So his knife was short, his nose touched it, so his eyes are like, 12 centimeters from the block. Then when he wanted to see what he was doing, he changed his glasses, picked it up, and looked like this. But no scope, of course. Okay, what are we doing here? Just to again rough out, we do have a show and tell today. We have a bit of a different show and tell. Actually, I have more show and tell that I can show. I've got 1 thing, 2 things, 3 things, 4 things. So we'll probably just see 2 of them today. But there is some good show and tell. That video, that was the second production of David's new, I have a new way of doing things here, whatever, the life for all of us has really, really changed a lot. Of course, obviously we have no shop anymore here. And I found myself all by myself. It's okay, there's lots. We're busy. It's not like I all of a sudden have a lot of free time. But the way to use time has dramatically changed now. With no shop and no print parties, I'm spending more time on the other physical work, of course. But I was struggling the last few weeks with how to organize my time, how to do things. I remembered something that happened to me years ago when I was first in Japan. We talked about this in one of the videos a long time ago. In that I was teaching English, doing translations, taking care of kids, doing all kinds of stuff, making wooden toys, and I was losing sight of something else that I had wanted to do, which was make prints. And it was just buried in all the daily life stuff. So in order to actually get printmaking moving along, I tried to make a bargain with myself that I think it was Monday mornings. I don't remember exactly which particular day it was. It was 1 day a week, half of the day was going to be set aside for printmaking. And no matter how much other stuff was going on, no matter what translations were waiting, no matter what else was going on, I would spend that morning doing nothing but printmaking. And it worked. I made that bargain with myself in the September of that year, and by the time December came along, the first print was ready. The Tenji Tenno print was ready. So what I did this last while, a few weeks ago, I made the same kind of bargain with myself. There's 2 or 3 things that I really, really want to be doing. But in the middle of all this chaos, I've just not been able to sort of get myself into doing it. One of them is video production, of course. It's just become postponed because every other job is always more important. And the other job is a couple of books that I really would like to get out into the world. So I made my little bargain, and what it's going to be is I decided that Sundays was going to be the day where I would work on those things. And my bargain with myself was that I would turn off Wi-Fi Sunday morning and do nothing else. Forget that Mokuhankan existed and do nothing else. And that started 3 weeks ago. That started. And the first 2 Sundays were fine. I worked on the manuscript for a couple of the book projects. This is something that's not going to happen soon. This is going to be a year, at least a year down the road. So don't even think about something happening on that just yet. But the 3rd Sunday came along and I thought I should make something that's a little bit more That's still too high. That's a bit more visible. Let's get this thing, get some results out into the world. So this last Sunday was the video project. I had some, I'd been thinking about it for a long time. Just finally do it. Okay, what I'm trying to do is level this thing down. I got to be really careful to chisel. If I try to cut too much and bump something nearby, of course, it's another disaster. I was thinking it was almost there and I could flatten it to the final step with the Nagara, but it's not true. It was still, when I tried that, it's still too bumpy. The Nagara is wibbly wobbly back and forth. So we have to do a bit more actual physical cutting before I can do the Nagara part. I've got to cut more physically. Maybe what we can do, if I can be careful with this, mask it out a bit. We can take a bit down with a file still, I think. Yeah. Okay, much closer. Let's try. Yeah, still a little bit of wibble wobble. Still a bit high in a couple of places, but we're much closer now. Great. It's not quite down as far as it should go. It's now basically flat enough that we can see where to put the design. We'll now cut the correct shape into place here, and then with the lines then thinned out, it'll be easier to drop it down. Now, where do we cut? Where do we cut? John just brought me, he brought the shadow up to the lines. This is the border line. The border line goes here. So John brought the shadow up to the border lines and just left the chopstick sticking out into the air. But the inside of the chopstick is straight all the way. So that'll be our key here. Let's start there. All of this trouble just from a moment's inattention, you know, a couple of days ago, a few days ago, a week ago. Yes, that was a Nagara. It's the same as the Nagara if you saw the video the other day that you saw Ito-san using the Nagara. It's the same one. You can see the split. My God, we're really going to have to shim that. Okay, now, what's the shape? This one's going to be tough to figure out. It's going to be, this part is just the chopstick width without the shadow. And that stops here. So let's try and define this line. I should not here maybe. What's the border line? Show that it's got to come down here. And this should be just a chopstick width with no shadow. Even closer, start big first and then cut it back. This part comes out. John here, good morning, John Sam. I got your color separation file. In fact, I don't know if there's going to be time this morning to start that stage of the process, but that's here now. Thank you. Okay, you can see where we're at. We've got a slot. We'll just try and get a piece that'll fit in there. You're talking about levitating the pole today. It's best on a rainy day, you know, when there's no shadows. I really cannot see anymore, you know. One glasses, two glasses, nothing seems to work. Whichever pair of glasses I wear, it's too far, too close, too far, too close. It wasn't a cat print order, it was a design submission for the cat series. And that's the next update, I think, as soon as I can get to it. We have news on the cats. As I said, I don't have it here to show you. The first print, the Evening Snow, the first test printing is done, and we have fixed the blocks. We have fixed, at Johnstown, I say we are fixing the blocks right now as we speak. He's working on it this current few days. And then once the blocks are fixed, we do another test proofing, then production will start on that. Then cat number 2, I saw the first test proofing from that, from Rachel. And that was, what's today? Thursday, so that would have been Tuesday night or Wednesday. She came over and showed me that. So the first proofing is done on cat number 2. And that will go also into production. So what it means is I've got to get busy on 3 and 4 and finalize the designs for those. And that's the Autumn Moon, and I forget what number 4 is. Okay, let's leave that for a few minutes, because if I start to muck with it too soon, it'll pop out. The next step will be straightforward now. We'll use, in a few minutes, let's let it dry a bit first. In a few minutes we'll use the flat-bladed saw, the saw that has no teeth. We'll slice it off, but give me a few minutes to let it sit there. What should we do while we're waiting? We've got other work to do. We can now clear this zone here. This is now empty and waiting to go. Can I do it without banging that? Let's have a look. We should also maybe, I said I had a few different show and tells, so maybe while we're waiting for this to dry, we could maybe look at one of the show and tells as well. Let's think about that too. We've got a bit more clearing to do at the bottom here. Very light tapping here. Don't get panicked about the noise. This is just going to be some very light tapping. No big noise here. Okay, I would really like to let that sit for a couple of minutes before we muck with it. So let me show you something else while we're waiting. On our business situation, of course, you know about this. This Axa shop is history for a while. It's going to be history. So it's two things. Some of us here, me and Aoyama-san, we have time that we, instead of spending the time on print parties, we have time to do other business activities. Also, we have to think about other business activities because we no longer have revenue from a shop. So we've gone back in time a little bit. I've got a box on my desk here. Some of you, if you were watching my activities back in 2012, before Ukiyo-e Heroes came along, there was a certain project that was cooking here at Moko Hong Kong. I think there's a link to it. Hang on a sec. Let me get a link. I should have prepared this a bit more carefully. Yes, there it is. This is an ancient page meaning from 2012. And you can see from the links what this was about. This was before Ukiyo-e Heroes came along. I was publishing a couple of small prints. We had just hired the first couple of printers, and Moko Hong Kong was trying to think about what did Moko Hong Kong want to be. They were just trying to think about what he wanted the place to be. I wanted to try and publish a few interesting prints. Remember, this was before Ukiyo-e Heroes. I didn't know the world was going to change, before YouTube, before all that stuff. I was thinking of Moko Hong Kong as a place where I would, have a workshop, train a few people, publish a few interesting prints, but also I wanted to try and fill a hole in the world out there. I was finding really difficult to get good tools and supplies. And I was thinking at the time, okay, maybe it's time for me to try and do that. I got a hold of a young guy who was training as a carver at Asuka-san's workshop, and he had the same ideas. I mean, look, we've got to get better tools. We've got to find better tools. So we hunted around. He had much better Japanese ability than I, and we interviewed a whole bunch of people, no, not dozens, but whatever, a dozen or so people at different workshops where they made tools, where they made steels. Now, tool making and knife making and chisel making, it's not one of those things that's dying here in Japan. There are all kinds of people making great knives. And the kitchen knives, there's a world boom in Japanese steel. It's not a question that the knowledge of making knives and stuff is dead. Just none of the people who had knowledge about hardware and knives and stuff were making things that were useful for woodblock printmaking because there were so few carvers buying this stuff. So we knew there was knife-making technology out there, people making great steel, great knives, but we had to figure out how can we convince one of those people to start doing some really, really small lot work. Give me like 10 knife blades instead of having them just laugh. No, we only take orders for 10,000 or so. Anyway, long story short, we started this project back in 2011 and 2012. We hunted up, it was a young girl who was working at a knife maker in a suburb of Tokyo. The boss really wasn't interested in it, but she was interested, and he said, okay, whatever, work on your own time. And she did. She did some work in the evenings and got some time with the office and whatever. And she prepared a bunch of test blades to the specifications that I had set down for her. I need this kind of style. I'd given her some old blades that we had here, worn down, shortened old blades. And she had also been investigating with adding molybdenum and something else to the different carbon mix in the steel, iron and carbon. The idea being that we wanted to make these things as hard as possible, to sharpen as sharply as we could, but yet without making them too brittle. The normal deal when you're making knives is, or when you're making steel of any kind, there's an amount of carbon that you put in it. And the carbon goes in and makes it harder, but it also makes things much more brittle. So there's a balance. Not enough carbon and it won't sharpen, and too much and it just keeps breaking. Anyway, she did. She made a bunch of samples for me. I tried one at a time and I went, oh my God, I think I'm going to die because this stuff is beautiful. So we got from her the first dozen or so steel for five types of knives. I planned a set of 5. It was going to be a carving knife, a 3mm eye-ski, a 6mm eye-ski, a whole set. And we also were going to put in a V-gouge and a U-gouge, which I don't use, but which overseas people all want to see. And this arrived on my bench on a day in 2012, and I was ready to get going. I made a sample set. I blogged about it up on the website. And then life changed. We ran out of money. I started laying people off. And then Jed sent me an email. A little email came from a guy called Jed Henry. Ukiyo-e Heroes was born. And then YouTube. And just life went a totally different way. And this tool project just got put onto the back burner. Anyway, what's happening now is this. Aoyama-san, for the past couple of weeks now, he has been sort of rebooting this. The girl in that workshop are not doing this anymore, so it's plan B, basically back to the beginning. We're going to try and find her, Actually, I don't know where she is. We're going to try and find her. She may have her own workshop, and if so, we're really good to go on this. But we're going to start this up again. So we're starting with these as a sample, and we're going to now take these samples to other workshops, steelworkers, and see if they can do something similar for us. It's really too bad that we didn't get this booted up back then in 2012. It's also funny too, I didn't have a price for what the full set would be. I had made the sample set of 5 knives, and I still had not got anywhere near working out what the thing would cost. But I had made it clear when I was blogging about it that this was not going to be a cheap starter set. This was going to be an expensive item made by a nice workshop, lots of times, special handles, custom box. It was going to be some hundreds of dollars. And I just didn't even know how much, and it didn't matter. Orders poured in. They weren't orders because we weren't ready to sell things, but people on the blog saying, that's it, set me aside a set. I'm like, I don't know how much it's going to be. I don't care. The answer came back. There was, and I think is, huge demand for something like this. So, not to tease you about this, but just to mention, there is now, the Knife Project is taking its first baby steps to getting back up and running. When will all this happen? I can't tell you. All I can say is that it's no longer dead. It's now it's out of the ICU. Maybe. There was somebody outside, I guess, I don't know. Did somebody do something outside? I missed. How's Cameron doing the shopping down? It's not affecting Cameron at all. Cameron's job here, he's the control center for all the orders coming in, emails from customers. Cameron had nothing to do with the actual shop. He didn't even really come down into it very often. He came down from upstairs when we needed, hands up there, come and help me. But other than that, Cameron has nothing to do with the shop. He is busier than he's ever been. Cameron's job is fine. He's working at home in Moria, new baby in hand. Cameron's fine. I think at the moment you can sort of look at, he's a very lucky guy at the moment. His job, as far as we can see, his job seems quite secure. Okay, here we go. This is the knife, the saw. It has no set. It's absolutely flat, both top and bottom. It's a saw designed for doing this, for cutting off. I think furniture makers use it. They do doweling and joints, and then they've got a screw, and instead of having the screw visible, they drill a hole and put a dowel in, and the dowel sticks up out of the wood, and they have to cut it off. It's a pull saw, of course. This is Japan. It's not a push saw. Don't run your hand along that face, please. Did I touch my face? Whatever. No, I'm sorry if I touched my face. There was a comment on a YouTube video 2 or 3 days ago. There's a comment on an old video from like 2 or 3 years back. And I guess I had coughed or something like this. And the person went crazy. Don't ever do that. Don't cough into your hand. Don't cough into your hand. What are you thinking about in these days? And it was like a 3-year-old video. I'm like, whatever. What's so Japanese about push and pull? Oh no, Japanese saws are Japanese saws and planes. The set is reverse. On a Western saw, it's set so that you push to do the cutting, and it pulls back with no cutting. Japanese saws, the teeth are the other way around. Japanese saws cut on the pull stroke. It'll cut like this. I'm going to pull. That's the cut. And now when you push, it's a set. No cutting when you push, and it cuts again on the pull stroke. Western saws push. I'm no expert on this. Nothing with woodblock printmaking. This is Japanese tools in general. But because of that, Japanese saws can have a much thinner blade. Western saw, because it's a push saw, has to have a blade that's thick enough to survive being pushed without buckling and folding. But a Japanese saw, because it pulls, doesn't have that problem. So Japanese saws can become extremely thin and make very fine cuts. And planes too, what the Japanese system is not to push a plane, but it's to set the wood and pull towards you. Again, these are not woodblock printmaking points, these are just Japanese tools in general. I think I better get out of the scope for this. Be careful. Well, the pull-push thing, I don't know, whatever woodworkers have experience in both fields, argue back and forth, there's points plus minus for each one, you know. For me now, just out of habit, and the tools that are here, my work is of course on a really, really small scale, so the pull is just fine, it's more precision. Okay, let's get our last little bit of flattening, almost there. All this fooling around because of a few minutes of inattention a couple of days ago, a few weeks ago, so. It's still high, there's a bit of wibble wobble, you know. It's still quite a bit high in some places. Okay. All right, enough for now. Let's print this thing. Let's print this thing. I think we're cleared, right? We're cleared. Let's do some test printing on this. Yes, say goodbye to the clean block. Yes, say goodbye to the clean block. Ah, paper. I have a baronet hand, a brush, some pigment. I have no paper. Hang on a sec. There's a piece of paper. Paper. Use the backside. Let's try this. This is Ito-san's old bench. No, it's not. There's big confusion on that. This is not Ito-san's bench. This is Harada-san's bench. Ito-san's bench didn't come to me. It went to the Arakawa-ku Historical Preservation Society or something like that, along with most of his tools. There's confusion about the story because there's sort of old carvers, a number of different old carvers. This bench is from Harada-san. I never met him. He died in the 1960s, 66, 67, while I was still in high school back in Canada. We got this bench from a man who knew of my work. His son, Harada-san's son, lives near here, visited our shop a number of times, got to know me, was cleaning up his house, got rid of the bench, and we took it over from him. But it's a different carver. Sorry about the confusion. It can't be helped. It's a different carver. At some point too, it would be nice to make a video about Harada-san. We have his bench, some of his tools and a bunch of his blocks and a lot of the drawings and paintings that he did. Okay, see, look, we're too high. See the bump on the back there where the ink is sticking up? But there's our proof. There's our proof. First test proof on junk paper. Here we go. Our repair seems to have basically got through. It's still too dark. See what's happened? See how much darker that is compared to this? So I do need to shave it down still a bit more when we're going forward. Same thing with this one. It's come up quite a bit blacker because it got more barren pressure. So again, both of these zones, I have to get the Nagara back on there and get them back down. And this is a bit too thick. Got to shave that off a little bit. But anyway, we were there. It's in place now. So there's lots of adjustments to be made. Lots of adjustments. Places where I carved the outlines first. I was just too impatient to get going on that, you know. So I carved the outlines first and then filled in later. And you can see lots of places here where the outline that I carved first is nice and clean and thin. Then here, all of a sudden, it gets thicker. So I've got to get in there and shave that. Same thing happens here. The string maybe is too fat at the end here. Same thing. Irregularity here at the end. See this? This is too thick here. We've got to cut that out. Lots of shaving to do. That shadow is a bit strange, I think. I think it's got to take the corner off that. The bowl looks nice. Love those curves. Meatballs. She's looking okay. If John's still here, thank you, John. There's kind of an extra touch line in the middle of the chopsticks. Yeah, John drew a line in the middle with a dot. I think if we go back to his original design here, where are the chopsticks? Yeah, that's what John gave me here. He gave me one of the corners here floating away and then another line and a dot. And we pretty much kept that, I think. That dot's a little bit too fat. Well, John is still here. Hey, thank you, Guy. What do you think? Is it okay? I think it's okay. A couple of places, maybe that's a bit too thick here, I'm not sure. Before I start fooling around too much. Oh no, it's partly shadow, I guess. That's okay. It's thick there, all right. That's a bit weak. Love the bowl. Love the bowl. It has that way they put that shadow in there gives a real gloss. It makes it look glossy and shiny. Shadow under the bottom chopstick seems a bit too thick, the area of repair. Yes, that's what I said. It's too dark at the moment. And maybe the shadow might need shaving a bit. I don't know. I'm not going to muck with it right now. But it's too dark because and also maybe I need to cut out, you make another mistake all over again. At the moment, this opening has to go a bit farther in there, I think, because the shadow seems to extend. Yeah, which way should it go? That's interesting. We don't have that from John. Should the shadow go into this open space here or not? Or should the shadow stop at the small line? So this open space should go into the chopstick more. I have to think about that before I cut it, because there's no going back once I cut it. But yeah, I think we'll do that. This white open space should go in here so that the shadow stops inside the print. And with more open space here, it'll look better. I think so. Yeah, we did that here. Oh no, same thing here to show. Is that a shadow? So it should be cut back here a little bit. I don't know. Oh, so what's this? Is it a mistake? What did I do wrong here? Ah, it's the string shadow. I see. Okay. So the string shadow is here. I I don't know if we need that, but anyway, I'll leave it alone. John put it there. I think I'll leave it. Okay, I think I know what to do. So now, back to the scope, some trimming. Okay, let's trim some of those fat parts of the borderline. How's our time? 9:04. Okay, we're still okay. Remind me at about 9:15. I have a very, very, very nice, very, very, very nice show and tell. It's not an old print, it's a new print. And when I opened it the other day, well, whatever, let's just save it. Just to remind me at somewhere around 9:15. While I do this, I'll make a couple of comments about that video the other day, the new video, Remembering a Carver, the sequel. There's a couple of things about it. I've had some email. There's lots of comments on the video itself, almost really, really nice comments. It's great. But there's a couple of emails I got. Dave, you forgot something here. And somebody pointed out something that I really, really should have put in and didn't put in. There's a bit of a tiny scene in that video where prompted by the producer, I had taken some of my own prints to show Ito-san. And she said, come on, Dave, show Ito-san your stuff. And I pulled my prints out and showed it to him. And he, of course, he's on the TV camera, so he was polite. Oh, very nice, very nice, very nice. Shows good improvement, blah, blah, blah. Of course, which sort of is true and sort of was okay. From his point of view, they were not very well made at all. It's okay, but he did the polite, normal thing that you do in these circumstances. And he said, very nice, and stuff like this. But there's another part to that story. This was completely coincidental, but the particular print that I showed him there, the newest one, it was in the 4th year series. It was the spring print, and it's a mess. It's one of the prints in the whole set of 100 that if I could just curl up into a ball and pretend it didn't exist and throw it away, I would like to do that. Because I screwed up the eyes of the character, the woman, completely. And it could have been, actually, and I don't remember all the data here, this visit to Ito-san was being teed up quite a ways in advance. And it could have been that while I was carving that one, I knew that I was going to be going to see the guy, and it was all going to be set up. And I may have tried to push a bit too hard, and I screwed it up. And the eyes are grotesque and unnatural. Now, none of the customers complained. You could sort of get away with it because in ukiyo-e there's no realism on things like those eyes. They're all sort of a caricature anyway. So it is what it is. But seen from I mean, Ito-san instantly, when that went in front of his face, he must have thought, oh my God, look at what he's done with those eyes. But, you know, he didn't say anything. But it was frustrating for me to be in that position of the newest, best print that Dave's made. Clearly, from his point of view, he was thinking, this guy doesn't get it. This guy doesn't get it. He must have been thinking, like, I had developed some technical facility, but I didn't grok what was going on. I didn't understand how beautiful lines could be, or how they should be shaped, or how they should be made. So that part of the story, I think, should also be told. Show that thing, show what's going on, show how I messed up. And then show how, you know, later on I did. I fixed what I was trying to do. I came to understand it a bit better. You know, tell a better part of the story as well. That's one thing. Then the other thing was, when I did get home from that, of course I had learned a ton. I mean, basically I now had seen, okay, that's how the hair carving is done. So of course the next few prints I made in the series, I tried to use what I had seen and what I had learned. And the next few prints in that group, the 4th year of the set, really show a spectacular improvement. This is not bragging, I'm just describing what happened. Because of my help from that guy, those next prints did show an improvement. And I think I should have put perhaps something about that in the video, showing my before Ito-san work, after Ito-san work, to really, you know, to help give the guy credit for what he did to me. So that should have been part of it. Something else that should have been part of it, people asked in the YouTube comments, Dave, do you have any prints that were made by Ito-san? I did. At that time I had a couple. Nagasaki-san had given me a print that he had printed, which was carved by Ito-san. So I had one. In fact, it was in my folder that day when I took it. But after we opened the Asakusa shop here, and we opened our flea market and started buying and selling 20th century reproduction prints, as part of the work for supplying the shop, I was in the wholesale auctions and in Yahoo auctions buying all kinds of stuff. And quite often, prints came up that were carved by Ito-san. I didn't keep them all because we had to feed our shop, but I kept a ton of them, and I've got dozens and dozens, maybe 30 or 40 prints here in a folder upstairs, all carved over the course of his working career by Ito-san. That should have been part of that video. Then the tools. You saw the tools there from a distance, but I didn't close up on them. So there's a bunch of things stacking up here that really could have been in that video. So I'm thinking now, this is not going to happen tomorrow, but again, for future use here. We had the Remembering a Carver video originally. Then this week we had Remembering a Carver, the sequel. And I think at some point we need Remembering a Carver, the epilogue. Maybe even I should get his daughter back in here, do a sort of interview with her, chat with her about her father. So I think at some point there will be another one. It'll be a series of three videos. What's happening in the stream here, in the chat here? All kinds of comments are missing. Sorry. Yeah, Ito-san did comment on the eyes and said something polite, lying through his teeth. It's okay, I'm not upset about that. You know, he did exactly the right thing. Said polite things to encourage me. It's okay. That wasn't the time and place to say, look, okay, here's what I think you can do better. This is kind of a mess. Try it, curving it like this. If I had had a chance to go back to talk to him more often and more often, a bit of a sort of semi-apprentice, then he should have ripped me to pieces on this. But it was okay. I learned bit by bit. So the carver strikes back. There's another part about this, there's a thing on Reddit, the artisan videos, and when I used to be making, videos showing my own, printing work and stuff, my own videos nearly always got posted to the artisan video section of Reddit. Recently, not so much, because we're just, the rambling talking videos. It's not artisanal, so if somebody posts it there, it gets deleted. But this one, the other day, Remembering a Carver, the sequel, somebody did post it to Reddit. It makes sense, because there's a lot of carving and stuff going on in there. But what the guy did was, it had nothing to do with me. Somebody took it, and he titled it, on the Reddit page, he titled it, Remembering a Carver - David Bull. It made sense. He's putting up a video for Remembering a Carver by Dave Bull. But what people saw that, and there's comments in the stream over this, somebody saw Remembering a Carver, Dave Bull. Oh my God, he's dead! So I get a tiny, 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 tiny glimpse of this thing that, people like to see their own obituary or see their own funeral or stuff like this. So, no big deal. There was no big comments about that, because as soon as people clicked through, they saw that it was, what it really was. It wasn't Remembering a Carver about Dave Bull, but, I'd so much love to see such a video, but of course. Oops. Okay, I think we're trimmed enough now. I'm not sure what this corner will do. I think we're trimmed enough now. Next step will be taking color separations. John sent me a Photoshop file, which I haven't sort of inspected yet. John sent me a Photoshop file of the color separations that he's suggesting. This is not going to really be a colorful, multicolored, wonderful print. It'll have colors, of course, but the colors are not the main part of this design. Some designs are more about the lines and the drawing, and some designs, modern stuff to quite a large extent, is more about the colors and patterns. So today's Thursday, so we'll say that. That'll be Saturday's stream. I'll do what we call the Kyogo Zuri. I will prepare some paper with Gampi on it, and we will take impressions of this block, 3 or 4 of them, color in some zones that need to be colored, and then paste them down on the color blocks to start going. So that'll be the content of Saturday's stream. But for today, I think now, yes, oh my God, show and tell, yes, okay. I've got the prints at hand, I need the block. This is a good one, hang tight. Let me go and get the blocks. They're over there, hang on one sec. this is a good one. This is a good one. Okay, John, you can wait. Get this out of the way, this out of the way. I said, this isn't old prints, this is new prints. One of our printers here. A man a bunch of you guys know him. Mr. K, if you've been here for a print party, it's quite possible that you had a print party with myself or some of the girls, or Kawai-san. Kawai-san, he's one of our staff members who's been doing both. He was doing print parties, and he also had trained a little bit at another workshop as a printer. He wasn't really a printer yet. He's been training here, spending 1 or 2 days a week upstairs doing some printing, and then making a living by doing the print parties. And he's been, for the past year or more than a year, he has been trying to switch. He's been wanting more time upstairs and less time downstairs. It's been frustrating for him because the print parties were exploding, growing, exploding. I needed him downstairs. So we had some frustration between the work, him and I. Anyway, you know where the story's going. The parties are dead. He's not upstairs. He's working at home and doing a bunch of different jobs for us. He did a bunch of the infestation prints for the Ukiyo-e Heroes. Now, as part of what to give him next, you've seen these blocks before. I showed these on a show and tell some months ago. These are old wood blocks, pre-war, from Takamizawa Company. The key blocks have a boxwood on top, and the color blocks are thin, battered up pieces of cherry, too thin to print, registration marks chewed up over the time, almost impossible to print. Turn the gain down again, more. We're down at 2. If I turn it down more, I test. Turn it down to 2. Yeah, okay. I'll speak more about. Look at this. Let's zoom in. Here's the block. You can see this one for a long time. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, testing. Can you hear me now? I just turned off the audio from the external mic. And I've turned on the audio from the MacBook. Can you hear me? It's good, it's better. Okay, the external mic is at the moment canned, it's off. And we're using the MacBook mic, which we normally don't use because of the fan noise. That's not me. It's a little quiet. Should I boost the gain here then? Let's boost the gain. Up. Okay, we boosted the gain now. Are we okay? Talk louder, talk quieter. I don't know what's going on. It's a brand new Zoom recorder, you know? Whatever audio, something. The audio gods do not like me. Lots of people like me, but the audio gods do not like me. So I've done something wrong in years. I did something wrong to one of the gods. Anyway, let's get over this. We showed you this a while ago. The level of detail in the carving from these old Takamizawa blocks is stunning. This has nothing to do with Hokusai. This is a Hiroshige print. The level of detail in these old Takamizawa blocks is astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. The key blocks, the color blocks show an insane amount of wear. The key block shows almost no wear. You still even can't figure out. There's some ireki. The title of the print has been put in an insert. Anyway, let's look at what Kawai-san did. Let's look at what Kawai-san did. He sent me a package, arrived yesterday, with 2 batches of prints. This is not an unboxing. I looked at these yesterday. I'm not trying to pretend I'm seeing them for the first time. There's two batches of prints he's done over the past couple of weeks. One is just a normal, it's one of our normal Hunger Club prints. This was a piece of cake for just run it. Any of our printers could do this easily. This is one of our normal Hunger Club prints. It's in our catalog. It's a really cool one. It's chosen, of course, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful colors in. This was just a couple of days to do this. This was really nice. It's in our normal Mocha Hong Kong catalog. Very quiet, peaceful little print. So I opened that. Oh, quite some good job. Thank you very much. Sent the information to Cameron Sam so Cameron can pay him. And then I wasn't really expecting this. It's an old set of blocks. It's a complicated print. I really wasn't expecting anything. And Kawaii-san has fucking knocked it out of the park. They are to die for. He has done a fantastic, fantastic job on this. It's mysterious. This is one of the Hiroshige prints that needs mystery. When he and I were chatting about this, actually, we looked at the blocks, and he's trying to think about, how am I going to do this? And I said, look, I just want you to think Halloween. I want you to think October 31st. I want this to be mysterious. A wind blowing over the moor here, these willows. I want mystery. And he has just knocked it out of the park. I had to jam my finger there. This is the scale we're talking about here. And he has really done a beautiful job on this. If you know the original Hiroshige, the full Oban-sized version, it takes more blocks than this. There's more shading in the grasslands. There might be gradations on the houses in the background in the full-size version. But this, at this miniature scale, there's a couple of things about the design that bother me. Hiroshige must have just dashed this off. And there's something about the design that's really bothersome. I shouldn't tell you, because once you see it, you can't unforget it. There's a guy on a boat, and there's a guy in the background with an ikada, a raft, holding it down the river. And the first guy here has legs, and he's got some kind of blue clothing, and he's got a sash tying his clothing in place. And Hiroshige has drawn the sash so it lines up with the raft floating down. And when you look at the big one, the original large one, it doesn't seem to bother you. But when you look at these smaller versions, it looks like the guy is somehow cut in half. Is the raft in front of this guy or behind him? That's nothing to do with Kawaii-san, of course. That's just the way that the design came out. But it's frustrating for me to see this. It's an annoying thing visually. He's just got the right amount of gradation on the water, the sky. The orange block overlaps part of the blue block. It's a gradation going up from the bottom. It overlaps part of the moon. I don't know if you can see it here, but the embossment effect, the paper is rich and thick. It won't get in closer without losing focus. Just everything is deep and richly embossed. I'll try and get some photographs this day. Doing a scan would be just nothing. Now, so we've got this, and what I had originally been thinking was, okay, we'll just dump these into our normal Hunger Club. They're 4,000 yen each, $40 each, bang, 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 bang. But this took him, it's got gradation, 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 the extra time it took fixing all the registration marks. I don't know. So at the moment, we're holding off on what to do with these. I've sent him 2 more of these block sets to do it. And if they come out like this, then I'm thinking that I won't put them into the Hunger Club. We'll keep them separately. We might do them as a set. I can't do this for $40, not and pay the guy what he needs to be paid to do this level of work. You know, when we get the prints from Chihara-san, you saw the Tago no Ura with all the gradations in the Mount Fuji. It's $120. It's bigger than this, but it's the same sort of level of work. So I don't know. We don't have any carving to amortize. I bought the blocks quite cheaply. So I don't know. Anyway, at the moment, just simply I wanted to show what they are, that this guy has really moved himself up a level. This virus has closed our shop, killed the print parties, but as a result of that, we have this particular guy now here who is really, really free to get climbing that little mountain he's climbing. So it was very, very good news. I phoned him. I opened him up. Yeah, I just phoned him. Kawai-san, you just sent me that package. And he's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? He's not getting a promotion. He's just doing different work. That's all. You know, the printers are paid by the sheet, and we normally try and calculate what a sensible price. Like we know, I'm a printer. We know how long it takes, how many colors, how many gradations, how many get thrown away, and then we need X money per day. So we try as much as possible to pay them a fair rate for what's going on. And with something like our Hunger God prints, it's averaged out. Some of them are really quite easy, some have more. So we've made an average price. This cannot go at that price. Not if it's going to be a whole bunch of these. It just wouldn't be fair to him. So we'll see. So this is not for sale yet. I'm not sure what to do with it yet. I'm going to get him to print 2 more of these. And based on the results of that comes back, we'll try and figure out what to do with this. There's an interesting little twist to this too. When he was partway along printing this, he called me up and he said, Dave, we've got a problem. There's no block in the set to do the gradation in this style. So there was a block in here. I zoom out a little bit. There was a sky block to do the blue with all these, fuzzy cutouts. But in order to do the standard Hiroshige sky gradation at the top, this block didn't work because it had been cut away at one corner. So he said, what do you want me to do, Dave? Do it without the beautiful gradation, the Hiroshige gradation at the top? What should we do? So I'm like, no, we gotta do that. It must be in there. And it wasn't in there. There was no block for it. So quickly, what I did, I went upstairs to our wood stockroom. I grabbed an old piece of wood that we had got one day from an auction. And this is a pre-war piece of wood, about the same age as this. And I cut for Kawai-san, using that piece of wood, I cut a blank block that he could use for the sky gradation, using wood from that era. Now, it wouldn't have mattered. I could have used a new piece of wood. Nobody would know. It wouldn't make a difference. But just to round the whole thing off. And he used the block that I had carved here. He used that to make the beautiful blue sky gradation across the top of this. So anyway, there you have it. So I can't sell this to you yet. I'm not sure what to do with these. We have to try and figure out how to make a sensible thing here that makes sense from what people can afford and what we want to pay this. Just to keep this whatever. Anyway, Kawai-san, he's probably not watching Mr. K. Thank you very much for putting me back into this. And another printer joining our team as a real capable, competent printer. It just doesn't get any better than this. I'm the guy in the middle here. I didn't carve this, I didn't print this, I didn't do this at all. But I'm the sort of guy in the middle pulling all these strings together, finding these blocks, finding these people, finding this. So I'm really proud to put this out under our name. I'm really proud of it. Okay, there we have it, gang. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's Thursday morning. I am now going to get a cup of coffee, try and relax, and then get busy octopus printing. I've got 3 more days. Thursday, Friday, might be finished Saturday afternoon. 3 more days of that. So Saturday morning stream will be here doing the color separations of John Amos's print. Okay, thanks so much, guys. Thanks for putting up with all this chaos and stuff that's going on here. Thank you. See you Saturday morning. Okay, look, I was just whatever when I opened this up. I phoned him right away. And he was still like, what's wrong? It's just Japanese. Okay, I'm out of here. Thanks again. Bye-bye.